Hey, y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Senator Moody just destroys Senator Brooks for her hilariously bad comments when it comes to the Schumer shutdown. This is a clinic. Let's dive in.
This administration is now, in this moment, actively working to subvert labor law in our country and has actively created a massive crisis for hundreds of thousands of workers in my state and across the country. I am a senator in my home to the people of the state of Maryland, where we are the proud home of 494,000 federal workers and contractors. Today, we are in day 8 of a government shutdown, a shutdown that impacts each of these constituents. And let's just speak plain language. My colleagues have the keys to the kingdom. They have control of the White House, the Senate, and the United States House of Representatives. And so they are in control. And their refusal to come to the table in good faith and negotiate a plan that both keeps the government open and makes sure that health care is affordable and accessible is an abdication of duty. So many Marylanders would like to show up to work today and serve the American people, but have been left behind by this administration. Hundreds of thousands of civil servants have been either furloughed or are forced to work without pay, all because this president has decided to shut down the government. And I want to just leave with a quote of President Trump, who once looked into the camera and told us the following, and I quote, "If the government shuts down, I think the president would be blamed, and rightfully so." This shutdown lands at his feet. Thank you.
For the record, if Senator Schumer would agree to reopen, it could reopen tomorrow. Next is Senator Moody.
I feel like we have to address all of the comments that have been made, but especially the last entire amount of time that was designed to suggest that this is a shutdown on anyone's watch other than the Democrats. And we cannot let that go unanswered. And I agree with Ms. Abruzzo that this is a system designed against workers in the sense that this whole design of this shutdown, led by Shutdown Schumer and these Democrats that won't just keep the funding going for a few weeks while we can figure out next year's spending, it is their design to blame it on President Trump, to blame it on the Republicans, but it is in fact the Democrats who have decided not to continue funding. So they have to spend an entire time, when I really want to get to bipartisan solutions for labor. I was very excited. I have all these suggestions, especially Florida. I feel like we've done a lot of things right for workers. You cannot have somebody sit here and put in front of the American people that the government is shut down because of President Trump or because of the Republicans. It is on the backs of the Democrats, who we've given them time and time again the opportunity to show up and vote yes, let's keep the government open so we can engage in these bipartisan conversations. As someone whose oldest boy is in the Army, as someone who understands that people are facing not getting paychecks, and I think we just heard 5 minutes of comments on this rather than getting to bipartisan solutions on labor, because someone comes from a state where they have a lot of people that are employed by the federal government, and they, by golly, need to blame it on someone else besides the Democrats that are not showing up and voting to open this government. And it makes me incredibly sad, because we have really hardworking people in this country that are not going to get their paycheck very soon. And so I appreciate you letting me indulge in correcting the record, because we are here to do important work. This president, more than any president in my memory, has said, how can we come together in a way that is pro-worker and pro-business, American business, and do right, and focus on how we can maybe tweak our laws to have a better system in place. I'm all about that. And I appreciate you, sir, for coming in here today and saying, I've asked my members, let's come at this from a politically blind way. Who are the best people and what are the best policies that we can push forward in this new age of America, the golden age of America, where we're focusing not on how do we ensure strong free markets, less red tape, better ability to build businesses, can support our workers and our families, and also have a strong backbone to support those business and our American workers.
Y'all, the star of this video actually isn't Senator Moody, who has been, in her own right, a pretty darn good replacement for little Marco, who, by the way, is doing a fantastic job as Secretary of State, not to mention running about a third of the government himself. And I'm kidding in good faith. But the star of this video isn't also Brooks either. As a matter of fact, she's more of the bless your heart candidate here. Oh no, the star of this video is Chairman Cassidy. Alright? I'm not the biggest fan of Chairman Cassidy, but when it comes to legislative politics, I've got a lot of respect for him in that regard. I don't like him very much, but I got a lot of respect for him. Because in the middle of a committee meeting, he's the chairman of the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, which is, by the way, a very thankless committee. And I apologize that I'm nerding out here, but he's the star. Because it's rare for a chairman of any committee to actively rebuke someone for getting the record 100% wrong. And that's what Senator Also Brooks does. Because the biggest play in the Democrat playbook is not appeal to the truth or appeal to reality, it's to deflect and deny. Hey y'all, according to new reports, central banks around the world may be buying twice as much gold as official reports suggest. Yeah, you heard that right, twice as much. And get this, they're bypassing traditional markets and buying directly from miners in Asia, Africa, and in Latin America. That means no US dollars, just physical gold. This shift isn't just symbolic, it could be strategic. They could be looking to bypass traditional Western markets. So if central banks are scrambling to reduce their dollar exposure and own more physical gold, should you do the same? That's where the award-winning precious metals company Goldco comes in. Right now, you could get a free 2025 gold and silver kit and learn more how gold and silver can protect your savings. Just go to politibralgold.com. Plus, you could get up to 10% back in bonus silver just for starting up. Go to politibralgold.com. That's politibralgold.com. The Schumer shutdown is in place because Democrats refuse to vote for a clean, continuing resolution that will keep our government funded. They refuse to do it. They refuse to have the guts to say, you know what, the American people have spoken, but we're going to defy the American people. Which on one hand is actually a beautiful part of our system, because it actually says that, hey, we are capable, ladies and gentlemen, we are capable of keeping the worst parts of democracy, which is mob rule. We're able to keep that at bay because of something called the filibuster. The filibuster is basically, if you don't have 60 votes to pass it, if you don't get 60 yay votes, you have the opportunity to table or basically cancel whatever's going on. Sorry, table is not the right phrase here. You have the ability to basically say, no, this isn't going to go through, and it's stuck. It used to mean just the ability to get up there and speak for long periods of time, because you actually had that ability in the Senate compared to the House. So because only a handful of Democrats, only 3 of them so far, have shown any willingness to say, hey, government shutdowns are bad, let's continue this resolution and fight another day. And they don't want to do that. They want to keep fighting over an issue that has already been decided, that the American people said, hey, we're actually for the one big beautiful bill. Let's keep this going. And the real reason that Also Brooks is trying to run point here, and by the way, just the name Also Brooks, it's such an odd name. It's not that it doesn't roll off the tongue, it just sounds like I'm saying Also Brooks. Let me know if anyone else is getting hung up over that. So I'll just say the good senator from Maryland, or rather, the senator from Maryland. But the senator from Maryland is out here clutching her pearls saying, won't someone think of the government workers? Yeah. As someone who actually was employed by the federal government, I was a park ranger out in Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Great summer, by the way. Nice people, for the most part. We all had our flaws. I was still dealing with my own tisms, so to speak. I was a little tough to handle. because my brain quite literally hadn't fully formed yet, but I love the national parks. But I was not an essential employee. I was in the interpretive rangers division. I was basically a summer intern. Had a lot of fun. Got to speak with a lot of people. Got to meet folks from all across the country. Got to talk about the prairie dogs and the bison. But I was not an essential employee. And so, I did not become a full-time ranger. I had to go back home. My job was not essential because the main season for tourism was over by October 1st. Well, guess what? We're through the first week of October now. And maybe it's okay to take a look at the situation and go, maybe there's a lot of non-essential employees in our federal government. The senator from Maryland should understand this, but she's forced to run point for two different reasons. Not only is she trying to defend Chuck Schumer, she's trying to promote and project to all of her lovely government employees. Note that last little phrase, by the way. I said that on purpose. Her government employees. The Democrat Party looks at the government the same way you do at this on-again, off-again girlfriend. You consider it your relationship, but you haven't made it official because it would shock too many people. Where Republicans look at the government as something you would scrape off your shoe. They look at it as something that's kind of gross and disgusting, and it happens, and we just need to clean the shoes every now and then. That's the difference between the two parties. The Democrats think that the government is theirs. The Republicans think the government is just something to be maintained. And so the Democrats quite literally are okay with the shutdown because there's something else at play, by the way. It wasn't brought up in this video, but it's essentially Chuck Schumer trying to play power politics. And so that's why we call it the Schumer shutdown. That's why Moody called it the shutdown. That's why Cassidy came out and rebuked a sitting senator in front of the rest of the room. That is a no-no. You don't do that. But he did to remind her that, hey, by the way, if the minority leader Chuck Schumer would bother and allow the votes to take place and allow people to vote their conscience instead of saying, you have to vote for this, because that's how legislative power actually works and gets projected, then we wouldn't have a shutdown problem. But we have one because the Democrats are magically lining up behind the filibuster again because it's now their last resort to say that we're standing up against Trump and we're standing up for our government employees. No wonder the thing's shut down, and no wonder I'm so happy that it is. And I shouldn't be happy. I know people that are affected by these shutdowns. It's not always fair. Maybe that's why Democrats should actually, move across the aisle and do the right thing. But don't count on it. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.